Welcome back to your premier source for all things bold and the beautiful. Today is a phenomenal day to dive into the juiciest, most explosive spoilers Los Angeles has ever seen. Grab your favorite beverage, buckle up, and prepare yourself for a jaw-dropping ride, because we are getting straight into the high-stakes drama. The heavy mahogany door of the Spencer Publications executive office slams shut, vibrating the glass walls and sealing Katie Logan Spencer inside with a manila folder that is about to detonate the entire Los Angeles canvas. Her hands are shaking violently as she rips open the confidential laboratory seal. Katie has spent weeks hunting the shadows of Melissa Dillon's suspiciously blank family tree, trusting her maternal instincts that the girl sleeping in her son's bed is hiding a catastrophic secret. The private investigators finally delivered. The DNA results are printed in stark, undeniable black and white. Katie's breath hitches, her eyes widening in sheer, unadulterated terror as her gaze locks onto the genetic match. Melissa Dillon is not just a desperate gold digger clawing her way into the Spencer fortune. She is a direct bloodline descendant of the most dangerous, psychotic, and lethal villain this city has ever known. The name burns off the page like acid. Sheila. This is the exact moment of no return. The battle lines are no longer drawn over fashion houses, stolen designs, or corporate espionage. A predator has successfully infiltrated the Spencer family, bypassing every security measure by weaponizing the one thing Katie cannot control, Spencer's heart. Katie's intense, relentless investigation into Dillon's past was triggered by the disturbing connection to Remy Price. But what she unearthed is a nightmare of apocalyptic proportions. She realizes with horrifying clarity that a mini Sheila is currently wrapping her venomous claws around her son. The realization paralyzes her for only a fraction of a second before the fierce, protective rage of a mother bear takes over. Katie grabs the DNA report, her knuckles turning white, and marches out of the building with a singular, ruthless mission. She's going to rip the mask off this monster and physically drag her out of Will's life before the Spencer legacy is drowned in blood. The impending confrontation at the beach house is poised to be one of the most explosive, high-stakes showdowns in daytime television history. Katie does not bother knocking. She kicks the front door open with enough force to shatter the tranquility of the oceanfront property. Melissa Dillon is sitting on the plush sofa, sipping coffee, wearing that sickeningly sweet, doe-eyed expression she has perfected to manipulate every man in her orbit. But Katie is completely immune to the performance. She storms across the room, the sheer velocity of her fury sucking the oxygen out of the space, and violently slams the DNA report onto the glass coffee table. The papers scatter, exposing the genetic markers, the undeniable proof of Dillon's twisted heritage. Katie's voice shakes the walls as she demands answers, screaming the name Sheila into the open air, waiting for the young woman to crumble, to cry, to beg for mercy. But what happens next is the most chilling, terrifying moment of the entire storyline. Melissa Dillon does not cry. She does not cower. She does not attempt to spin a web of desperate lies. Instead, the innocent, vulnerable waif routine melts away in a matter of seconds. Dillon slowly sets her coffee mug down, her posture straightening, her eyes darkening with a predatory, calculating gleam. A slow, sinister, and entirely recognizable smirk spreads across her face. The exact same terrifying smirk that Sheila has used before pulling a trigger. The mask is completely gone. Dillon looks Katie dead in the eye and unleashes a villainous declaration that changes the entire trajectory of the show. She proudly owns her bloodline. She drops the act entirely, revealing a cunning, ruthless, and highly intelligent nature that proves she is every bit her family's daughter. Dillon's voice drops to a lethal, venomous whisper as she completely changes the power dynamic in the room. She boldly declares that she is not some cheap gold digger looking for a quick payout. She is a conqueror. She looks Katie up and down with absolute disgust and announces that she is here to take back exactly what her family deserved from the billionaire Spencers. The sheer audacity of her statement leaves Katie momentarily stunned. Dylan explains that the Spencer wealth, the legacy, the power, it is all going to belong to her. She has already successfully manipulated Will into absolute, blind devotion, and there is absolutely nothing Katie can do to stop the hostile takeover of her son's life. Dylan taunts Katie, mocking her maternal desperation, confidently asserting that Will is so deeply trapped in her web that he will choose his new lover over his own mother without a second thought. The tension in the beach house reaches a boiling point when the front door opens and Will Spencer walks right into the middle of the war zone. The timing is catastrophic. Katie immediately rushes to her son, frantically shoving the DNA papers into his chest, begging him to read the truth, pleading with him to see the monster standing in his living room. She screams that Dylan is Sheila's blood, that she is a manipulator, a predator who just confessed to targeting their family for their wealth and power. Katie expects Will to recoil in horror, to throw Dylan out onto the sand, to realize that his mother was right all along. But Dylan is a masterclass manipulator. In the blink of an eye, the Sheila's smirk vanishes, replaced instantly by tears of victimization. Dylan shrinks back, playing the terrified, bullied victim, sobbing that Katie forged the documents because she hates her, because she is a snob who cannot stand a working-class girl loving her son. Will's reaction is the ultimate, heartbreaking fracture of the Spencer family. Blinded by his passion for Dylan and exhausted by his mother's constant interference, Will aggressively swats the DNA report out of Katie's hands. The papers flutter to the floor, ignored and dismissed. Will wraps his arms protectively around Dylan, glaring at his own mother with a look of pure, unadulterated hatred. He accuses Katie of crossing every conceivable line, of faking medical records, of acting like a deranged, controlling tyrant. He refuses to look at the evidence. He refuses to listen to Katie's desperate, sobbing pleas. Will completely buys into Dylan's instantaneous victim routine, declaring that Katie is dead to him if she cannot respect the woman he loves. The psychological manipulation is absolute. Dylan buries her face in Will's chest, but over his shoulder, she locks eyes with Katie and flashes that sinister, victorious Sheila smirk one more time. This devastating confrontation threatens to permanently destroy the relationship between Will and Katie. Katie is left standing in the beach house, completely shattered, realizing that she has lost her son to a cunning predator. She is forced to walk away, but the war is far from over. Katie immediately takes the DNA evidence straight to the top of the Spencer empire, Dollar Bill Spencer. Bill has been sitting in his corporate tower, smugly watching the fashion war unfold, actively considering using Melissa Dillon as a strategic pawn to keep Will away from Electra and the Forrester family. Bill thought Dillon was just a convenient, malleable distraction. But when Katie throws the DNA report onto his desk and reveals the terrifying truth of what occurred at the beach house, Bill's entire strategic calculation shatters into a million pieces. Dollar Bill Spencer is a ruthless billionaire who fears absolutely no one, but the name Sheila carries a legacy of blood, bullets, and madness that even he cannot ignore. Bill realizes with a sickening jolt that he has inadvertently invited a viper into his inner sanctum. The pawn he thought he could control is actually an apex predator with a genetic predisposition for violence and extortion. Bill's initial amusement evaporates, replaced by a cold, hard fury. He realizes that Dylan's presence is no longer just a romantic annoyance for Katie. It is a direct, existential threat to the Spencer legacy, the company, and his son's life. Bill knows better than anyone that you cannot negotiate with a Carter. You can only annihilate them. But with Will completely brainwashed and fiercely protecting Dylan, Bill is trapped in an impossible dilemma. If he moves against Dylan directly, he risks alienating Will forever. If he does nothing, he allows a mini Sheila to sink her fangs deeper into the Spencer fortune. The catastrophic revelation of Dylan's true identity sends shockwaves that will inevitably crash into the Forster family as well. While Steffi Forster Finnegan is currently in Monaco dealing with the feral, boundary-crossing stalking of the original Sheila, a brand-new, highly intelligent, and deeply embedded threat is rising in Los Angeles. The timing is an absolute nightmare for both families. Dylan's connection to Remy Price, her involvement in the fatal crash that killed Luna Nozawa, and her new status as a Carter bloodline descendant make her the most dangerous wild card on the canvas. She has access to Forster Creations through her job, and she has access to the Spencer empire through Will's bed. She is the ultimate bridge of destruction between the two warring factions. As Dylan solidifies her grip on Will, her behavior at Forster Creations will undoubtedly become bolder, more aggressive, and entirely unapologetic. She no longer has to play the timid assistant. With Will's blind protection and the Spencer wealth backing her, Dylan is going to unleash a reign of terror that will force the Forsters and Spencers to realize they are fighting the wrong war. Katie and Brooke's fashion feud, Ridge and Bill's corporate posturing, all of it becomes completely irrelevant in the face of a new Sheila spawn actively dismantling their lives from inside out. Dylan is poised to manipulate the youth line, sabotage Elektra's career, and extract millions from the Spencer accounts, all while wearing a smile that masks her lethal intentions. The stage is set for a massive, apocalyptic showdown. Katie is not going to surrender her son to a monster. She's going to mobilize every resource, every private investigator, and every ounce of Logan determination to expose Dylan to the world. Bill Spencer is going to have to tap into his darkest, most ruthless instincts to eliminate the threat without losing Will. And when Steffi returns from Monaco, fresh off the trauma of dealing with Sheila, the discovery that a new Carter is running rampant in her company and dating her rival's son will ignite a feral explosion of epic proportions. Melissa Dillon has just declared war on the most powerful families in Los Angeles, and the fallout will be a spectacular, blood-soaked battle for survival that will change the landscape of the show forever. Will Katie find a way to break Dylan's hypnotic hold before the Spencer empire falls, or has the new Carter already won the ultimate prize? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and join the debate.